All right, so you've seen this before, probably as a player, definitely as a coach, where a team plays a really bad game, they lose, they go in the dugout, and coach follows them in afterwards, and a player makes a joke, and another player laughs at it, and then there's some snickering, some giggling, a little laughing, and coach erupts and says, "How can you be laughing? You guys don't care about the game, blah, 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 blah." And in that moment, the coach perpetuates this idea that you have to act sad and you have to act solemn and you can't laugh or have fun or basically switch into regular life if you didn't play well, if you lost a game, right? This has been something that's been around forever. In the book Ball Forward, Jim Bouton writes about this, how basically the same exact scenario. He's playing for the Yankees. They lose the game. The guy in the locker next to him makes a joke and Jim laughs and then immediately gets chewed out, and everyone in the locker room gets chewed out. You guys don't care. You're here laughing, making jokes, carrying on. We just lost a ball game. Now, let me give you some perspective from the pro side before I give you advice on how to handle this in the amateur side. We played 140 game seasons. Every game matters, but also there's a game tomorrow. So it doesn't mean we care less when we lose today if I'm not going to punch a hole in the wall, if I'm not screaming, if I'm not visually showing negative emotion, if I'm not sulking after the game. It doesn't mean I don't care. It means that I'm emotionally steady and I'm realistic at the fact that there are a lot of ups and downs in baseball and softball, and there's always a game tomorrow. And the only game that matters is not the one that we just played, but the next one. And the problem is emotions run high for coaches and players when we play really well and when we lose. And especially when we lose, coaches get frustrated when they see a lack of effort, a lack of hustle, and those are understandable things. But it's problematic if, as a coach, you're almost rewarding players for showing negative emotion. A player like punches the air, maybe throws their helmet. You can see the anger when they pop up or when they ground to a double play or when they walk a hitter. You see the visible frustration. You see them display it, and therefore you think that's a player who really cares. Whereas you'll have other players, I was an example of this, I showed very little emotion on the field. I cared a lot. I still care enough to devote my entire life to baseball, but I was not going to show negative emotion because I wanted to stay level, because I needed to make the next play. I need to make the next pitch. And so I was a person who just naturally is more stoic. I don't play with my heart on my sleeve, but that doesn't mean that I don't care. So too often coaches conflate showing negative emotion and caring about baseball, and then not showing negative emotion, and then not caring when you get out. And that is a big problem, because what we want to do as coaches, especially at the amateur and youth level, is to create kids who are emotionally well-regulated, help them deal with failure in a positive way, help them not punch a hole in the dugout wall, not break their hand like some major leaguers do occasionally, punching the cooler. That's not a healthy way to show emotion, and it doesn't mean you care more about baseball than someone who doesn't punch the cooler after getting out. So the big overarching thing is, as a coach, you want to help your young players learn how to regulate their emotions, how to move on to the next play, how to take a deep breath and focus on what they actually control going forward rather than the bad thing that happened. That includes any little play in the game and the win or loss itself. Now, I want to be fair here because there are different types of wins and losses. So one type of loss is when the team is completely unfocused. They maybe disrespect themselves. They disrespect your coaches. They disrespect the umpires. They disrespect their teammates by how unfocused and lax they play. There's low effort. There's bad sportsmanship. We've all seen those kinds of losses. It's a 16-2 affair, and we got killed, and we're just our heads are not in the game, and we did not show up to play today, and we disrespect our own jersey and all the hard work we put in to prepare for this game, right? In the dugout after a game like that, I think it's perfectly okay if kids are giggling and laughing and it's just an extension of that unfocused, to lay down the law and be like, look, this was ugly, not because you didn't, I'm fine if you lose and you try hard. I'm not fine if we don't try hard and we disrespect ourselves and we disrespect the game by not hustling and showing bad sportsmanship. That is not okay, and therefore, it is not okay to be giggling in the dugout after the game after doing something like that. I think that is completely in bounds, and that's a fair life lesson that the way you carry yourself at all times matters, and how you show up for yourself and your teammates always matters. So that's one category where, as a coach, I think you're fully within your right to be upset about that and to address it with players. Now, should that be a screaming match? Should you allow yourself to get emotionally dysregulated and blow up? No, you still need to be the adult in the room and explain that that's not okay and what is going to happen going forward. But you also don't need to erupt either, because you need to take a breath. You need to do all those things to still show up as a steady adult for those kids. However, all the other losses, sometimes your team just gets their brains beat in. Sometimes they are trying hard and they just make a million errors, and they just make mental errors, and it becomes a mess. But it isn't that that they don't care. It's not that they're not trying. And so you have to pick those apart, and don't get on your kids if they just play bad, and then when they walk off the field, they're moving on. And I think that's okay. We have to learn how to toggle in baseball. You have a couple bad at bats. If you can toggle, maybe that third at bat, you crush a ball, right? Because you let those ones go. You have a bad game, you toggle. You walk off the field. Hey, let's be back to being 13-year-old boys and have fun. And now, next game, we flush that one. That one's gone, right? After a game, if they're ready to hey, we played a doubleheader, we lost both, it sucked, we didn't like that, but also now let's focus on what we're gonna eat after the game and going to the pool later. That's okay. That's what baseball is. That's what youth sports are when kids are young. And it doesn't have to be all work. And even at the pro level, sometimes we played it like crap. And you know what? We walk off the field. Where are we going after the game? Let's go get a drink. Let's go do something. This game is over. Let's focus on tomorrow, and let's enjoy the moment while we still have a jersey on our backs. So hopefully this video helped. Being the steady adult in the room is really important. Don't blow up. Don't wear your own emotions on your sleeve. It's great to be passionate about the game, but you have to do so within reason. And let's together put to bed this idea that you have to sulk and show how upset you are after a loss. Players will be upset, but everyone's going to show it different. So don't put this expectation that where they need to start expressing negative body language just to fulfill this long time thing that says you got to be sad when you lose. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Check out my books and online courses, and I'll see you here in the next video.